Hello out there and welcome to this more or less basic tutorial in Fusion 360 where we will create this utility knife, and we will do this with a combination of freeform modeling and a little bit of solid modeling. Okay, let's get right into it. So I will insert a canvas. So here we go. I always use this view. I scale it here a little bit and I will do a calibration in a second. So switch here to the right view, go to my canvas, right click, calibrate. Actually, this is just a sketch and I have more or less freedom how big this is, but I take it from here to somewhere here around 160 millimeters. Okay, and I will also position it a little bit different so that it's more or less here on the floor. Good. Then let's grab our freeform tab. So you're in the solid tab and then create freeform, create form. And we get now our menu, and we will start actually with a box here. And I will select the ground plane here for a starting point and the center point for our first form here. And I can use here measurements when I take, for example, 20 and the depth, and with the tab key I can switch between these two values and take 60 here. Actually, it doesn't matter, we will change the whole thing anyway in every form, but so that you get a little bit of a starting point when you hit enter or click, and then it creates you a form. Now I got my measurements here, and I could also decrease the height here. It depends on which view or display is here, that you see the lines or you don't see it. Here at my screen now is control 4, 5, 6. You can switch between different view modes. Okay, control 4, 5, 6. So I always like to check without the lines in 4 or with the lines in 6 mode. And we will add some more faces if you don't have them. In the length we keep it at 2. At the width 3 is fine, and the height faces we also change to 3. This will be our basic starting cube, and when you've got this, then hit OK, operation your body, yes. And now you could also switch with the control key with 1, 2, 3, that you see the rough mode, the edgy mode, then the second one where I see both, and with control 3 I see the smooth mode of the object. I always try to work with both because sometimes you get a little bit better control and the geometry flow looks better, or you can control them a little bit better in the 1 mode, but the end product will be the 3 mode. So I will switch here between these two. If you have never worked with freeform, that's the reason why I explain it a little bit more. What you can do, or what you might need then here, is in this menu, in the modify menu, we will find some of the stuff that we will need. We will use today insert edges, we will do some bridging, we will do some creasing, and maybe, yeah, let's see what we need through the process of building this free form. And what we also most of the time will need is edit form. I use E and M quite often as keyboard shortcuts. E for edit form, where I pressed E, I can modify faces. So this is a face, you can pull it and scale it and rotate it. It depends on which slider you take. And if it's set here to coordinate transform mode, I could also just do it in one direction. Actually, I don't use the selection filters here. I use here all, because what I'm hovering over, it will take this. Okay, so just go back, nothing is wrong here. So when I hit one point, one vertex, I could also move it and move it in this plane or in that plane, or whatever you like. And also, of course, you can do the same thing with edges. You can scale them, you can move them, rotate them, whatever you like. Okay, this is what the E key does. So go back. So everything's fine. And when I use the M key, I cancel that. M is moving the whole object. Okay? And I will do this now. So hit M and oops. So again, M. Select the object and move it, and switch here to my right view because I want this a little bit rotated. Of course, I will edit even more stuff here, but this is my basic beginning. And hit OK. And now I'm editing the points, the edges, and the faces for getting my form the way that I'd like it to have. And maybe before we start, we define a symmetry. This is also quite helpful, that we don't have to select always on both sides. So I get here to symmetry, mirror, internal, and then select one face, and on the other side, on the symmetry, actually, the other one, and you see Fusion is creating this green line around the object. This is where the symmetry will happen, and this is what I want. Hit OK, and the cool thing is when I now take one edge and with the E key I move it, it's doing the same on the other side. So we don't have a little less, or we have a little less selection work. Now I will take here stuff here in the front. Maybe I switch to the right view. And I also will scale it here. So the middle stuff is scaling everything in all directions. And this is what I need actually. And you see it's very rounded here, but I need more or less a sharp corner here. And so what we just do right at this position is we crease this edge. So go here. I selected the stuff already, and then modify Crease and see what's happening. Everything is getting yellow, but don't be in mind. But this is now a sharp edge without the smoothing stuff. Hit OK. Now we have a creased edge here, and that's a little bit easier to position in. So hit E again. So I rotate it and I scale it here. And try to give it the first positioning. And I actually need some more edge loops to define here the curves. But before I do this, I will give it a little bit of a different form. Switch back to the one view with Control 1. And what I do is I push this edge, I push it down and push it inside a little bit more. So I get this nice rounded form here on the top. And I also do this with the lower one. So it's easier for us in the later process to create this nice little form. And I also push it up, push it in. So I get this actually more or less oval form here. And also here in the back. So this will help us to create then our form. But you see what happened right now because of the moving is I destroyed my front face, but I don't care about that. I will fix it now in a second. So hit OK and take the faces here in the front. And also a very nice tool I could show you now is here, the Flatten tool. And this flattens out the stuff that I destroyed. So flatten. So I select all the faces, flatten, and now my stuff is flat again. Okay. And what I also do is I hit back the E key so that I get in my tool that this will be here more or less square again. So I have my nice first shape here. So be sure that it's a little bit rounded here. And switching back in my 3 mode. Maybe I have to reposition. Yeah, I have to reposition now this stuff here. So right here. Yeah. Okay, and now I insert some more edge loops that I could define the stuff a little bit better. And for that we will select here with a double click this edge loop and go to modify, insert edge. And Fusion is getting me such arrows where I can click and drag where I want to have my edge loop. And I want one somewhere here. Okay. And actually I want another one because I need them here in the back. So select here the edge loop again, hit insert edge and leave it here somewhere. I will move it in a second anyway. So switch back to my right view, and what I could do, I double click it and back to E mode. And maybe it's the reason why I switch here to 1, because I want here the first point to be defined. Here I take second one, put it over here, and also I like to have more or less straight line. It's not perfectly straight, but there should my first edge loop should go. You see, it's flattening the whole stuff quite much, and I insert again another edge loop to get a better definition in the 3 mode, and then I could follow the form maybe a little bit better. So I double click this one. I could also flatten this, I think. So when I go here to flatten, yeah, it also straightens out this edge loop. So I love this tool. Okay. Always check in the 3 mode if everything is, or in the perspective view, to tumble it, that everything is fine. Then I select the edge loop again, modify, insert edge loop, and I need one quite right next to this point. Okay, now I get into my 3 mode and see it's getting a little bit better. And what I do now is I'm trying here with the selection of edges that I move here to my form. So I select here the lower edge, I also select the points, and be sure in the 3 mode, that's the reason why I'm switching, that you don't mess up too much stuff here. Okay, that in the 3 mode it's not crossing over each other. That's not good geometry. So always be aware that you get a nice little, you see it happens so fast. And now I'm trying to move this one a little bit more down, also these two, and you see I will need another edge loop to create this corner. I will always take here 2 of them and move them, maybe also here on the top. Take 1 or 2, also here, take that one. So now it's, and you see when one is a little bit higher, maybe it's not too good, should be a good edge flow here. And also the points, I'm trying to create one nice grid here in this direction, and also in this one. This will help us to create a nice and well-shaped form. Then we need another edge loop. So double click here, that one, insert edge, and I want it here on this side. Okay, and see now we're getting a little bit better here to creating that form, but now we have a quite dense look here. Let's see, without my canvas, now still looks fine. If you got this a little bit too edgy, I'll switch back my view, that you may, so E for edit, that you may put your points a little bit, give it more distance to each other. And also here. And be sure that you don't use too much geometry here in the beginning, because otherwise you will get confused or it's too much work. And also it's often not good for your geometry if you do too much of editing. So see, not too bad. Here at the end, I do actually some, maybe I rotate this a little bit, before I do some extrusion work here to the back, be sure in the one mode, okay, that this is this kind of egg shape. It will help us and help you from the beginning that this will look nice. But now be aware when you do your first extrude that you have to select all of the faces, okay? Don't be confused by the symmetry, that it does it fine. I will show you. When you just select one half and do an extrusion, and extrusion in Fusion works, you see it when you hover the moving arrow, you see here Alt key to extrude. So on the Mac it's the Option key, and on Windows it's the Alt key, so press it, Alt, Option, and pull out, then more geometry is created. Okay? And what I do is I move it down here a little bit and rotate it a little bit, and what I want you to show is when I switch here to the 3 mode, I have one problem. That's the reason why you have to select all the stuff and not think that the symmetry does your work. You get this split up. So, of course, I have to go back, back, and select all the 6 faces I have here. Okay, that's very important. And now I do my extrusion again, so hit Option, Alt, and pull out here the geometry. Now I rotate it a little bit, and I saw it wasn't also quite flat here, so to keep my geometry fine, I also do a quick flatten, hit OK, and I do, so select all the 6 of them, and I do some more extrusions, and then I'm trying to follow the form. So hit E on the keyboard again, Option or Alt key, push out, also maybe push a little bit down here, go here to right view, again, push it, and here on this position, oops, I will rotate it a little bit, and maybe I could also scale it down a little bit, so I do some rough stuff just here. I have to make it bigger anyway. Let's see, quick view, yeah, in 3 mode, and another extrude. So hit Alt, Option, and we will end here because this form here is a hole, and we will work around the hole actually. So we stop here at the hole. Maybe I rotate it here a little bit. Could also scale it down because it will taper here at the end anyway. And good. Okay, so switch here to 6 mode, and now I will do some editing of my form. And for that, I take here, am I in the right view? No, yes. I take actually 2 of the edges, and with the E key, I move them a little bit. Also the points. Always be sure that you take 2 of them to keep the form well. So here I have to go push it down. Yep, it works fine. And what you could also do here from the top view, so that it's not too flat everywhere, you could add with a double click. So I make it, yeah, this ring, I scale it here a little bit because I want to get them a little bit more of a nice shape, and also take these 2 rings and use here the scaling, so that I have some kind of nice definition. You could also maybe push here, take it to the, you want to make it even here in this area a little bit smaller, or also down here. Oh, no, just take this one, that one. So it's defining just a little shaping. It's not everything perfect. It should be perfect, but not that straight. And that's the way how you could define a little bit more of a form. Be aware that it doesn't get too much, just a little bit. Okay. And maybe you save your scene sometimes. So, okay. Utility 9. Looks good. Also the freeform, the one mode, you could also the key to get some of the points maybe so that I have nice going flowing lines and not something like that. Okay, that's not cool. So be sure that they are flowing in nice directions. Now let's go to the back form here, where we try to build the geometry around the hole. In this case, it's better, I think. Of course, you can't build here the geometry and then cut a hole out of it, but it's also a good possibility to do now it that way that I show you. What you can do is when you take here, for example, these two faces, remember the two, and extrude that. For example, so hit Option, no, E before, and then Option, extrude that, scale it a little bit, rotate it a little bit so that it follows the direction of the form here. Also scale it here and it is, scale it a little bit. And you could go on in that way, so extrude, rotate it, extrude, 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 and try to rotate around here. But actually there is a little bit easier version that Fusion offers to us, so I leave that, hit OK. And I could make an extrude or a bridge actually along a curve. And so I just create a quick curve here. So I switch here in between to create sketch. Then I select here this plane, switch here to the right view. And what I do is just a rough fit point spline. So where I start just somewhere here and do one, and yeah, more or less somewhere next to it, okay? And click this little arrow. If you're not, I'm going to hit escape. If you're not happy with your form, just click on the points and maybe edit the tensions a little bit. But actually, so this is more or less fine for me. Okay, maybe a little bit bigger, yeah. So, a rough form. Then I finish the sketch. And what I do is I delete here these faces and this face. So select both of them, right click, delete. Also here, you see it in the one mode, quite good. We'll switch here the canvas off. Now I have a hole. Also select with Shift, of course, these two and right click, delete. And now go to Modify, Bridge, side 1, I have to select here. I take the lower one, double click, so now it's yellow. Then change here to side 2, so selection arrow, this is my side 2. And we have here the option of follow a curve. So click on it and select the curve. And no, don't any rotation, but we need some more faces in between, otherwise it won't work. So give it 5 or something and hit OK. Cool, isn't it? The only thing that I will do now is maybe a little bit of editing. So you see here in the 3 mode, maybe not that perfect. So it depends, of course, on your curve. So what I do is just take that one, hit E and rotate it a little bit. Switch back here my view. And I will scale it. Move it. Okay, maybe not too much. So back to. So that one. Then maybe I push this down here. And maybe, yeah, I should have moved that one down here. And I scale it also. So everything is being a little bit tapered. Switch here to the 3 mode, okay? That to be sure that's not too weird. And what I could do is also maybe I insert another edge loop. Maybe I could have put the bridge sections to 6, but doesn't matter actually. So insert an edge loop, yeah, here it's fine. To give myself a little bit more of definition, especially here, so that it looks a little bit better. And what I also do, you see everything is quite flat in here. I take this one. Actually the same I did also with the rest. So just put the inner, yes, yes, yes. So I have my, also this one a little bit back. This one a little bit out here. So switch back to my remote, to my right view. So it's easier for me to do my definition work here. And I just have this line. Or the point here in the middle. Try that your edge loops look okay. Yeah. Not too bad, I think. But here, yeah. So just do a little bit of scaling, maybe not too much. In the 1 mode, I see it a little bit better where it might be too much. It looks quite fine, I think. Let's have a look here in my view without anything else and have a look if it looks good to you. Be sure that it has a little bit of shape. Maybe I could do it even thicker here, this area. Just decide what you... Okay, maybe a little bit too much. Be sure that you don't have any edgy areas here, so everything is looking smooth. Of course, yeah, here we have an edgy area, but here we want it. That's fine. Oh, but here I see my creasing edge. Oh, I have the middle lines creased here. That's the reason why I got this stuff. So I uncreased that. So if you've also... Oh, that was the problem because I trusted the symmetry. So what I do is I uncrease it. See? Okay. Now I have a round corner. So be sure that this is not creased here. I think I'm happy with it. And when you're happy with the form, then finish the form. And save your scene. So now when we have a look at our body, maybe your lines show a little bit different flow. It depends maybe on your form that you created, but I'm quite happy with it. What you could do, or what we will do now, is the first thing, a fillet here. Of course, we could have done this also in the freeform mode already, but you see, this is the advantage of Fusion, that you could combine these techniques, and I find this actually very cool. So we will do, let's see, yeah, 1 millimeter is fine here. So don't need the sketch here, this one, but we will create other sketches because we need, of course, a little bit of cutouts, and here some grip parts, and here's some more or less decoration lines. And I think we will start this. So we will create some sketches. So create sketch here on the side plane. Switch back to this view. And we will do a mixture of arc lines and fit points, splines, and curves, or whatever. So let's see. So 3D sketch, I switch off. The first thing I set is here actually more or less in the middle. I set here diameter of 7 for my button, and I'll do another one, 7.5. So one will be the button and the other a cutout hole. And I will create another one for defining here this outer part, and I will take 12 or 30. Oh, not 30, 13, no, 12. Then I will create an arc. So always try to use lines and arcs and everything else before you use a fit point spline. So I'm always trying to do this because it keeps some things work a little bit better. So I take an arc from here to here, actually, to define this line here, and just switch off here the body, hit escape, and I'm just trying to fit this curve more or less. Yep, take that. Then I'd like to create these transitions here. So switch off the body. And I want to do this more or less accurate. And for that, I need a helping line or two of them. So create a line starting here from the center point that you have here of your circles. And I'm ending it somewhere here. And draw another one, and you see it's getting parallel when it snaps actually, and you see it on this little parallel symbols, and also end it here. Hit escape and just click the lines and hit X on the keyboard so that they are construction lines. I just need the connection point here. That's the reason why I did this. And then I will use here now fit point spline, because this makes my life easier to get a perfect transition here. So what I do is I click on that point that I got here, and somewhere maybe here, hit the check mark, and then another one starting here and somewhere here. Okay, and to make good transitioning lines out of the straight one, we will use the tangent constraint here. And so activate it, then I click here in this area and then on this line, and you see we get a perfect transition. I just hide the canvas here, and you got this tangent constraint symbol. Then another one, I click the circle here, and then again, now it's smoothing even more, so now we have a perfect transition also here, and got the symbol. Again here, 1, 2, symbol, 1, 2, perfect smoothing and symbols got here. So now we get a very nice transition. And of course it's not following perfectly the sketch, but I didn't also follow here with the arc, so but now my construction is a little bit better. Then with the trim tool, I trim away the parts that I don't need, and that is that one and that one. And I think I'm happy with the curve flow here. Then let's go to this line here. I will use here a fit point spline with less points as possible, but here I'm working with an arc and then a fillet, so this is where I start. So I get an arc starting from here to somewhere here and defining it here, hit escape, and so I can just click and add the point here. Of course I made it longer because with the fillet it's cut away anyway. I also created in that way that here I have more space and here it's getting thinner, so I like that. Then fit point spline, starting also outside, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. Let's see if I get my tensions so that I can get a good connection here. So I hit escape and then I can just click and drag the tensions. So here it's not too bad, I think. When you click on it, you can adjust tension or move it. Always in your work, try to work with as less points as possible. Well, that's not too bad, I think. I like my curve flow. Of course, it doesn't have to be here that perfect. And then I will create a fillet between here and here. And let's do it 2. And hit OK. Switch off here my canvas to see if it looks fine and convenient to you. Then we need another line here. So activate my body. I can see it a little bit better, and I will use also a fit point spline here and starting somewhere out there near my body and somewhere here and somewhere also outside but near the body. And what I want to achieve here, so hit escape so that I can use the tool. Just with this tangent here, I can adjust my curve flow a little bit. So be sure it's not going inside, okay? It has to come here outside of your body. Good. And we need some lines for that, for the grip stuff here later. And I do just a line, also starting outside and going somewhere here and ending somewhere here. Maybe just hit escape to change here the direction a little bit, and maybe not that long, just a little bit shorter. Okay, and we don't need the other lines because we will do some pattern work afterwards. Yeah, that's enough actually for this sketch. And before we get into the work, we will do another sketch here on where we do this grip area, this cutout areas, and we will use a little bit different way. And for that, I will create an offset plane. So construct offset plane. I take this one here, and let's see, in the right view, I somewhere here at the height of the first hole here, somewhere like that. Okay, and select it and create a sketch on it. And what we do, we switch off the body here and also the other sketch. I create the middle line from the center going up somewhere, escape, press X for creating a center line, and I'm creating a 3-point arc switch off my body again because I need it somewhere at this height. I will see afterwards if this was fine, and just switch it off again because I don't want it to snap here anywhere. Nope, no snapping. So somewhere like this, or maybe so let's see. No, a little bit bigger. And I will do a mirroring. So mirror, the line is also already selected here. Then the mirror line is here, my construction line. Hit OK. And switch the canvas off. And I want this to be tensioned here. So 1, 2. Now it's flat a little bit and I get my tension symbol and I got a perfect curve here. And now I check my body because I have to pull it a little bit higher. So I take the curve, hit M on the keyboard so that I could move it somewhere in the height where it cuts here the geometry, or it is near. And you could also put this one a little bit closer, not too close because it has to be a little bit out of control, because yeah, you will see then in a second what's my goal that I am aiming. So I'm happy with that. Also finish the sketch. And what we do also here is I create a middle line because I need this later for mirroring, and because I don't have one here, maybe you have one, I don't know. But I will split the face here, split face, and select faces to split. Actually, I want to split this one and also the lower one because that is where I need the stuff later on. And the splitting tool, I select this plane here in the middle. You see it's extending. Hit OK. Now we have a line here, and be sure that you don't take the split body. It has to be here split face. If you don't have it here in the tools, I snapped it to the toolbar. That's the reason why I have it up here. So then the first thing we do, we will create a pipe, and this pipe we have to select these two paths here, and you see already what is the goal, what was the goal of my work. When the operation is set to cut, and it should be set to cut, I set it section size here, let's see, and maybe you could even make it a little bit bigger. The cut is also getting deeper. It depends on the position, of course, of your curve. I leave it at 2 or 2.5. Yes. And yeah, operation set to cut. Hit OK. And switch off here my image. That's what we got. And we will do a fillet before we do the pattern work. So create a fillet. I select here the feature, get a fillet of maybe 1 or 2. Whatever you're happy with, hit OK. And now I will mirror this feature, so create pattern, and here we have a pattern on path. That's what we need. Set the type here to features, then object select, I select it down here. The one is the pipe and the second one, so with shift you select the fillet. So these are the features we want to mirror. And then hit select button and select this path here. That was the reason why I created a middle line, because I need it. Then I take the arrow and push here this stuff out. So maybe I check in I need 5 of them. And when I get here in the right view, you see that is my distance more or less. So be sure distance type is extend one direction, identical path direction. It gets a little bit of movement when I change it. You see it's following more or less the path, and compute option adjust, it's okay. And that is what I end up with. Now I have my first cutouts here. And we'll do also, no, before we do the one at the bottom, so get my sketches back, I will split my body into pieces. And for that now I go to my split body tool, so you find it also here in modify, split body. Then this is my body to split, and splitting tools is here, this one. You see it's cutting right through my geometry. Extend splitting type is on, hit OK. Maybe I should get my lines back. Oh, it didn't work. Not good. So, this is my error message. Improper face intersection. If you have the same problem, then you might have to edit your curve a little bit, because I think that here Fusion may have a problem with a perfect computing of the split. That's the reason why I'm now changing a little bit my sketch. So go to sketch, edit sketch, so that this point shouldn't go maybe too far, or I just put it here inside, that it's not that it's inside here, this line, and not cutting here a little bit. So just pushing it a little bit. Yeah, maybe something like that. Finish sketch, and let's try again. Split body, hit OK. Now see, it worked. So sometimes, yes. You see, I also got a line here. And the reason why this happened, I think, was here in the feature. So this was the mistake. Extend the splitting tool, because here the line is coming in and getting another split. So switch off the extend splitting tool, because it's making it longer and we don't need that. So be sure it's off, and then everything is fine here. Get my sketch back, because I need another split body, and I want to split this one with that curve here. Here the extend splitting, no, I switch it off, don't want that. Okay, so now we got another nice body here. See that? All splitted bodies. And here in the front, I don't want to split the body. I just want to split the face, but before I forgot here to do it in the sketch. So I switch back to my sketch, so edit sketch again. And I want a little offset here of this curve here. And just 0.3 or something. Maybe 0.5. You can see it a little bit better. And finish the sketch. And what I want to do is now split face. Okay, modify split face, not split body. It's important. Split face. Then I select, oh, I have changed here somehow my selection tool. So I want my window selection back. I select here all the faces. Oh, I have to select it in the other direction. So everything that's just connected is selected. So be sure that on every side everything is selected. My splitting tool, the first one. Okay. And another split face. And now be sure that I also draw it here from down to up. Everything selected here. And splitting tool, I selected even more, but it doesn't matter. Then the second line, okay. So switch off here my sketches. What we've got here is now a nice little line, and we use the press pull option here for creating some kind of decoration. So I get into my press pull, and what I do, I select all the parts here going round and coming up from the other side. So don't forget, I have here a tiny little piece, so maybe you have also a little bit of more pieces. Be sure that everything is selected, and then I just type in here -0.3, and we should get a nice little gap here. I love it. Maybe we could do it also 0.5. Yeah, then we see it even better. Hit OK. And let's see if fillet works. You may save your scene sometimes, especially when you do complex stuff. So I want a fillet here and here, and also maybe on the inner side, and just a tiny little one. Let's see if he could calculate it. Yes. These are the moments where I really love Fusion, because it does good work. Maybe even 15. But okay. I'm going to switch off all the lines. I see here a nice little decoration line. Not too bad, isn't it? And also here at our split body areas, we will create some fillets. I select actually the whole stuff here and do a fillet of 0.5 maybe. No, I couldn't do it. So deselect, cancel. I tried separately, so switching off here. Let's try it. So fillet. Oh, here maybe he got a little bit of problems in this area. Let's see. Yes, 0.3 worked here. Then another one going down here and here. No. Here we got a problem. Fusion isn't able to calculate this. Just in the size, maybe. No. 0.1 is working. I have no clue why it couldn't do a good transition here, or a bigger one. Even if I change it to curvature, let's see if it could do it better. No. 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 So take whatever Fusion is able to calculate. The only effect I want to achieve is actually that I see, of course, here the splitting, and I'm not sure if I could do this. So fillet. It would surprise me. Okay, it surprises me. We could do it. So change it back to rolling back. And also actually on this one. Okay, he does it. And this is the result. So we get nice little shapes here. Then let's do the ripples. And for that we will need actually another sketch. We could do also a face splitting, but it doesn't work well, so I take this other way. What you need is create a new sketch. The reason why we do this, I select this plane here, is because just with a new sketch, Fusion can project one line to a surface. Then we will go to create, project, and we need project to surface. Then the faces that we need, so switch back my lines on. So this, no, actually just the, no, I'll take everything, all the 4 faces that I have here. And then activate here my curve selection, and this is the curve I want to select. Then here you have to change to a long vector. And here click on select projection direction, and this is this one here. Because now you see it already, I get my line here on the surface, a perfect bow at the surface. And that's what I like. So, okay. Now I have a line where I can work with. And so I finished the sketch. And similar as before, I'll create a pipe on this. So switch off all the other sketches on this sketch here, but be aware, please create a new body. We will join it later, but first of all, we need a new body, and we may take here a section size of 0.1. It's more or less, yeah, not 0.1, 0.5, 1.5. Actually, I could also do here no, I don't do that, but you also could change the profile here, not to round. Of course, we leave it to circular. And new body, yes, okay. And then we do a fillet on this one and also here, because I want here round edges, and radius type constant, and let's try how, no, too much, 1.7 or point, yeah. So it's more or less round, so 0.7 is fine here. Hit OK. And now we will join this to the other body. Combine. This touch it body, tool body operation set to join. Hit OK. And maybe we do also a fillet before we duplicate this. So here I'd like to have a fillet. Let's see how much he could. Yes. Oh, that looks good. So take one of a fillet so we get a nice fluid transition. Okay. And now we do some copying and let's see if it works. So create pattern on path, similar as before. Then features, we have to select 1, 2, 3, 4. The path is that one. Then I just pull on the arrow here. Maybe you save your scene before you do that. Set it to 8. Well, let's see here at the image, or maybe not 8. Let's see how far I can get. I don't want to cut here. And maybe 8 is too much. Yeah, 6 seems fine for me. Maybe I have to fill a little bit more in. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, it's fine. And yeah, extend one direction, identical. When you take the path, no, we don't take the path direction because it's looking a little bit weird. We want identical and adjust. Okay. Awesome. Switch my lines off. This is what we end up with. Looks quite okay, I think. And yeah, this is, oh no, what we have again. Oh, we need a button. So where is my sketch? Here, where's my sketch? Actually, it wasn't necessary to create 2 circles, doesn't matter. We will do a split body again. Split body, this is my splitting tool, my body, and splitting tool, I take whatever. I take the inner one, hit OK. Now we have, so I may do some renaming. So grip the bottom. This is my actual body. This is my button. This is my middle part, whatever. So I want my button to have a fillet on one, of course, both sides. Let's try one here. Not too bad. And also the body itself should get a fillet. So switch off the button, you can see it better. 1, 2. Maybe here it's enough that we just take 0.3 or something. Looks also nice. And last but not least, we need hole for the blade. And of course, I know this is actually, we have full solid bodies here, and in construction you need that to be a shell, but in this case I just leave it here for visualization, that because when I want to do it with shell it's a little bit more complicated, and for the beginning and for getting in to do a little bit of freeform and solid body modeling, I just leave it without shelling it and give it a material thickness. Good. Then let's create a new sketch. So activate here my sketch again. Create sketch on the side plane. And I'm just drawing here one line going somewhere here. Hit escape, and then another one starting from here, and be sure it's more or less parallel. I will fix it here in a second with the parallel constraint. This one, parallel. So I select this one and the second one, and now it's with here the constraint symbol, I got a parallel line. And also do a connection from here to here, and also connect it here. Okay, maybe I'm not sure how it should look here inside, but it's just for the visualization, so don't mind. I finish the sketch. Then I extrude that in symmetrical way. No, one side symmetric, and distance here 0.5. And create a new body, please. Okay, it's important. Okay, switch off here. And of course, the blade should also be able to cut. That's the reason why we need another plane, and for that we will use here plane at angle, and we'll select here this point and just make it, yeah, doesn't matter. Something like that. Okay. And I create a sketch on it. I need a middle line. So look at, sorry, so when this is my plane here, and then I can activate the plane and say here, look at, so I'm selected, so I'm looking at it again. So I create a middle line, make a construction line out of it. Then I'll create another line from this middle line, going here, it's 1.5 millimeter out there. and another one going 2 millimeters up there, and another one connecting this one. So I get a profile here, and I will mirror this 3 objects selected. Mirror line is here my middle construction line, and it's mirroring to the other side. Okay, finish my sketch. And then I will create actually a sweep so that it goes along a surface. So sweep on single path, it's fine. I select 1 profile, 2 profiles, and my path will be that one. Operation set to cut, and you see it's now following my line here that set, be sure that it is set to single path, and so it's moving along, and operation set to cut, hit OK, and now I have also a blade which is cutting. And last but not least, I will now combine this, but with more or less keeping the tools. So target body this one, tool body that one. I will cut this, but be aware that you activate keep the tools. So because I don't want to get rid of my blade here, but I get a cutout hole here. See that? Okay. And so I name this one blade. And when I hide that, I got a hole in here. And of course we will need a fillet. Of course this won't be a perfect connection how a blade comes out of this object, but it's more or less here enough for our visualization work. So then for the rendering, I switch here from design to render. I won't go too much into detail. If you want to know more about setup and material stuff, then please check the tutorials for render setup and materials. I just do a quick one here. So at my appearance, then I'd like to have a rubber soft here, and also here. Then let's have some metal. What about this? Aluminium satin. That's fine. Then some plastic or paint. Let's have some paint for the button here. Maybe a metallic one. And actually I need more metal for the blade. Maybe I take a polished aluminum. I don't know which one would be the best here. Then switch here the render setup, and so get here some ground reflections. Or maybe I do even a perfect look here from the left. And maybe to give this a little bit more fancy look, I copy that one, duplicate, because I want to have it red, like the button. And apply it here. Yeah, I like that. Maybe I just make the rubber not too black, so that I get a little bit more of the color. And just moved it here a little bit for my rendering, get better view, because I need this in my screen for the beginning of the video. So something like that. And render. Let's see what comes out. So this is my final result here. I changed the light a little bit because the first rendering was a little bit too dark here. So I changed it to Rim Light Studio. And as usual, you can save here the file as your PNG. I already saved it here. So that was the basic tutorial with a little bit of intermediate stuff, but so just that you get to know some basic freeform shaping and a little bit of solid modeling. I hope you had fun and learned a lot, and hope to see you in the next tutorial. Actually, I don't hope it, because you don't have any choice, my dear students. So bye bye.